Hi, my name is Alex, and this year, at the end of the year, I decided to do something unprecedented, something that I have never done before. That's right, boys, girls, and everyone in between, this year, I've decided to try and get my shit together. Welcome to the 2025 BUJO setup video, darling. This here is the Archer & Olive's Winterscapes Northern Lights Ohuhu Fancy Shiny Pretty Notebook that I got in my first ever absurd amount of notebooks haul. And for those who like watching a grown man go absolutely batshit over notebooks, give me a little like and subscribe, and I will show you off just how many notebooks I have gone broke on. And is it worth it? Yes. Now, this little notebook here is the notebook I have chosen out of my wondrous little hoard to become my first ever BUJOshi. Which is an incredibly cringe way of saying it's my first ever proper, legitimate bullet journal. And I guess you could probably argue it technically is one of my first ever bullet journals physically as well. And the reason I chose this one is it's got a very nice feel. It's got blue, it's shiny, and blue's my favorite color, and I figured, fuck yeah. And also I was absolutely petrified at the idea of ruining the beautiful snowflake. So I will ruin that next year. Now, anyone who has ever owned a BUJO journal, sketchbook, any kind of physical media notepad whatsoever, the one thing we all have in common is absolutely crapping ourselves whenever we come across the first page. There is nothing scarier than putting pen down to paper on the first page in the book, because if you've it up, it is there with you for eternity. And that is why I did this page last. I didn't actually write my own name in my book until I finished all of my spreads, because I thought I would give myself bad juju. So for those of you who are terrified of ever writing your name in your book, save it till last. Even if you lose it, it's okay, because if it's shit, no one will ever know it's you. But yeah, so I went with like a nice little blue cursive. It's all like nice and shiny, so I thought it would be, nice and cohesive with the flappy color. And as much as I was like to say in the going theme that the reason that I made it blue is because the book is blue, no, the reason I made it blue is because I like blue. Introducing the first page spread. On this first page here, I have the pocket and a 2025, that's the year it's going to be. Now, I will be completely upfront, and anyone who has ever watched a bullet journaling video in their life is probably like, come on. But yeah, I will be completely upfront. I did not come up with the idea of a pocket. That is something geniuses do, and I am not. So I did not come up with the pocket idea. I believe I got the idea off of the incredibly talented Jashi Corinne. She makes some incredibly, really good just BUJO bullet journaling inspiration videos. And I will admit, there will be a few spreads in here that I absolutely was inspired by her stuff for. Credit where credit is due. Now, in the pocket, I've decided to go with two useful little tools here. So I can actually pull them out. What I've got here in the pocket, I have drawn up a grid ruler. Essentially, I've put colored dots along the ruler where all of the thirds and the quarters, etc. are on the page, because then that way, when future me is doing January, February, March, blah blah blah, it will be a lot easier for me to divide the page, because I will be honest, I made this ruler as I was doing this video, and I sketched out all the pages and did all the planning before I was doing this video, which meant I became very familiar with the great old tried and true BUJO method of 1, 2, 3, 4. I counted the boxes. It took a while, and there are definitely at least one or two spreads in here where I did the good old Bob Ross philosophy of happy accidents, because I clearly counted it wrong. One thing you will notice going through is the theme, I suppose I went with, is I had this lovely little like scrapbook paper set that I got off of Temu. Yeah, so I got these lovely little scrapbook squares, which I am using all throughout it. This on the pocket down here, the scrap going through the center of the page over here, And you'll notice on many of the other pages that is a cohesive theme I've got going all throughout. With the 2025 page, essentially what I did was, majority of it was stickers, a couple of doodles with a gold pen, some washi tape. I used a lot of the scribbly word washi tape, some of the dark blue and gold washi tape is pretty cohesive. I ran out of that, but like luckily I ran out of that like quite deep into it, so it just kind of, it had that happy accident kind of look, but like that's why it's not on the last page. I just don't have any more, which is a shame. It's a really nice one. And with the 2025 font, I'll be honest, it is the only piece of font that I actually bothered to type on a computer, print out, and make a makeshift stencil for. I do like how it looked, because I really wanted to get that, like, you know, sketchy look to it. I like how it came out, I really do. And I could not be bothered to do it again. So the lettering from here on out is 100% hand-drawn, because for me, someone with an artistic background, that genuinely was easier. However, if you don't have an artistic or a calligraphy background, please just print it out. It is totally cool. Print it, cut it out, stick it in, use stickers. Like, there, you can make your BUJOs, your sketchbooks absolutely stunning without drawing a single thing. Use the art of collage. This next page in my friendly little BUJO is what I like to call good old-fashioned necessities. The first page is an index. It's exactly what it says on the tin. The reason it's only 2 columns on the one page, just in case some of you are watching and going, this is the start of your yearly BUJO, and you've nearly finished the first column. I don't think you put enough sections. Don't worry. The first column was going to be overly detailed, so I can keep track of all the yearly things, and then after that point, each month's probably only going to get like 1 or 2 lines. It's going to get like a bit more sparse from here, and if I do run out of space, as we say down under, fuck me, I guess. On the other page, we have the year at a glance, and it is exactly what it sounds like. There's a calendar that you can glance at. Yeah, that's quite literally like, I have a tendency to forget time exists quite a lot. Dates plus weeks, but my brain just goes, and then I carry on with my day. I'm really bad at keeping track of time. A year at a glance will just be very useful for me because it'll just help me quickly to talk more about like the crafting behind it as well. I used the paper for the corners and in the middle. Each page kind of had 1 sheet of the craft paper dedicated to it and ripped up in various different patterns to keep it interesting. I used the Exacto knife to cut out the different areas that actually were affected. Surprisingly, didn't cut myself. Up the top with the title, what I did was I've got one of my old visual diaries, just been ripping pages out of the back and using them for all of the title. Basically, I'd write whatever the title is. For example, Year at a Glance. I would write that title up on that page, then I'd go back in with my pen to make certain parts fat to make it look like I nailed it on the first shot. Fun fact for those who are interested in calligraphy but don't know anything about it, like someone like me, they in fact do not nail it on the first try. They do calligraphy line art. Granted, if you are using a water-based marker, generally you just got to get as close as you can on the first shot, and then you use like the thin nub to kind of, even it out. But yeah, a lot of pen pressure is just normal pen, and then once they finish writing the basics, they go back in and make some bits fat. Hacks. But yeah, so what I would do is I would, write on the first piece of paper, I'd tear that out all around the word, then I would get the second part of the paper, I'd tear that around it, giving it a border, and then I would use my Ohuhu gold dot marker, which was for a dot marker. Dots were not where I was using it for. But I used my Ohuhu gold dot marker to color it in a metallic gold. And then, I'd blue stick it down, which is why, even though I haven't completed much, you can visibly tell before and after when you look at the side of the book. I am so glad Archer and Olive Books comes with the straps. On the next page, I will be completely upfront and say this next page is completely superfluous. I do not need either of these. This was 100% my curiosity / hee fun page. As you can see, looking ahead, we have on the left a weather tracker. I'm sure at least one person watching this video right now is going, why the fuck do you want to track the weather? What's the point of that? Curiosity. I live in Melbourne. The weather here is notoriously fucking weird because I'm going to be color coding it whenever I'm melting. I can be like, look, it's red in my book and that's why I'm dead. It is curiosity. I want to see how batshit the temperature gets. I just wanted something to fill the page. It is one of these things in this book that is 100% nonsense for the sake of nonsense. Because sometimes you need to have nonsense for the sake of nonsense. So that's why on the next page, let me introduce you to the one, the only stolen idea from Jashigoran again. Bingo! Ding, 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 ding. And that's right, I've got a bingo 25 because the second I saw that idea, I went, yoink! That sounds really fun. Now you'll notice it in the speed draw, I didn't actually fill out the things. I filled that out after. You'll probably also notice as well, if I am showing it off, I have filled out, say, this here, but there will be sections later in that you'll notice, oh, you haven't filled that out. What's the point? I'm gonna fill that out later. That's a future me problem. On my bingo, I've got multiple options from follower goals, just random tasks, maybe things that might happen. The one thing that I really had like as a cohesive theme going in here was I wanted them to feel doable, like realistic, but rare, unlikely. Not like impossibilities, but unlikely. Things that like, it would be really cool if they were hit, but it's not such a high probability that if they weren't hit, I'd feel like shit. It'd be more of a like, oh well, I was shooting my shot. So you kind of move on from that. And other goals, I've got little things like actually cook dinner. I hate cooking and I never cook from scratch. That's unlikely, but doable. Use my silhouette cutting machine because it's been gathering dust for 2 years. Like, just a whole bunch of random little things which are doable but unlikely. And there's kind of that charm of like, if I get a bingo, hell yeah, I was living large, and if I get everything but a bingo, this is a message to the me of the future who will inevitably turn around and tell me to go fuck myself. No you! And of course, I've got a motivational quote down the bottom, because if there's one thing I have seen in a lot of different BUJO videos, quotes are the dumb thing. But I am a weird man. There is one quote that I remind myself ever since I saw it in a fortune cookie once. That quote has shaped my life. And that quote is, Dululu is not always the Salulu. Really not kidding, I did first learn that in a fortune cookie, it was the funniest. This next page over is what we in the biz like to call basic. You have a future log. Wow. It is very standard BUJO practice, which is why it's in there. Shit's standard for a reason, you know. So, that's why I put in a future log. You'll notice I didn't really put a lot of lines or categories in each one, and the reason for that is just I'm planning on mostly using this for mostly major events, like major things that are happening in each month, so that I can have a quick glance and go like, ooh, I'm getting surgery that month. It's a good thing to remember. Don't want to miss that. Or I'm going to a concert. So like, stuff like that. Time is an illusion, and I still can't believe it's December. This next page is, I guess, arguably a little bit more unique. As a note to my future self, who absolutely will not watch this video back once I've posted it, memories is for your favorite bit, not the random bit. So the first page we have is memories. Memories is exactly what it says on the tin. Each box is dedicated to my favorite memory of the month. What was my favorite thing? The thing that made my brain go hee hee the hardest. Now, this next page over, this is definitely one you will notice is not filled in. This is very much one of those pages where the filling in part was definitely a to-do list item and not a done list item, if you know what I mean. This is the 24 to-dos within 25. Another idea that I joined from Jashi Corinne, but I kind of tweaked it a little bit because me likey symmetry and having one side that was thinner than the other side bugged me. So 24 it was. And the way these work is basically you write 24 different things you want to do 25 times. You know, every time you do the thing, you put a dot in. And by the end of the year, you turn around to see how many you completed. Like, say you want to go for a walk 25 times in a year. Stick that on here, and every time you go for a walk, boom. Say you want to see a friend 25 times a year. Dig it in, put a dot. And it's kind of like things like that. Stuff that like you want to do regularly, but not so regularly you need a whole book for. Just the kind of stuff you want to keep an eye on. Like a really soft core habit tracker. Speaking of habit trackers, this next page here is all about them habits. I am specifically tracking 6 habits in 2025, and these habits are drawing in general, writing or writing activities in general, commission work, reading or reading activities in general, exercise, and drinking water. Behind each one there is logic. With drawing, it's just any kind of drawing. So doodling, actually working on artworks, completing artworks, all these kinds of things. Then we got writing. I am working on a novel at the moment. Basically, it's kind of a case of so long as I do something to do with writing every day, it counts. Commissions is just, you know, keeping track of me working on commissions, because I'm a hyper-focused type, which basically means when the commission is in my zone, I will work on it incessantly. But when the commission works not in my zone, it's like doing the dishes. And that's no shade on the commission work. That's a me problem. And it's just, my brain is weird like that. I want to try and keep track of how often I'm doing commission works to maybe kind of force myself to do a little bit a day, instead of just kind of not touching it for a week and then going absolutely hard balls to the wall for 12 hours on a Sunday. And then of course, reading. I mostly read shitty manhwas, but you know, I want to get in the habit of reading a novel occasionally. Probably gonna be a shitty novel, don't get me wrong, it's same genre, but like, at least I'll be reading words. Exercise, I usually go for like a 30-minute to an hour walk every day on my break at work, but I still want to keep track of it. Sometimes I go over that time period and actually go to the town over to get a boost juice instead of the cha time. That is how I bribe myself to go. It's like you're on your break, go for a half-hour walk and you'll get a bubble tea. Go for an hour walk, you'll get a banana smoothie. And sometimes I really want a banana smoothie. It works. And then drink water because I don't. Anyway, now, I suppose you can argue I've got a few different pages that kind of fall under the same category of goals or habits or tracking, stuff like that. But like the goals in quarters page is for big shit. I did it in quarters because it looked nice, but also it's kind of a good way to be like, in the first quarter of the year, I want to make 5 YouTube videos, for example. Or in the first quarter of the year, I want to stream consistently for at least 2 days a week. Stuff like that. It doesn't even have to be production related. It's kind of the idea, and the major goals in there, and if I hit them, woohoo, and if I don't, of course I've got a little note section at the bottom because it looked sad and empty without it. Now the next page, we have themes. The theme section is throughout the year I'm going to do a new theme, and on this page I kind of want to just keep track of it and just keep a little montage collage vibe of each one. Say in January I decided to do waterfalls. In the January box in here, if say I was just using say waterfall stickers the entire time, I'd put a cutout version of a waterfall sticker in January. If I was drawing the waterfalls, I'd draw a waterfall. That's kind of the intention. Just keeping a snippet or an overview of all the themes I've used throughout the year, because then I can kind of go back and have a look over and be like, oh, I did waterfalls and frogs and my favorite anime and Lloyd Frontera from The Greatest Estate Developer, the theme. And to the people from my VTuber community who are watching this, this next page, I will be completely upfront, I had some trouble with. I had a vague idea what I was going to do going into it. It is probably one of my more technical pages that I've done. The way I do, of course, we had a ripped piece of paper. It was quite harsh, just half on the top, half on the bottom. It's definitely one of the most stubborn pages, I'll say that. The way I did it was, it's kind of hard to measure out where like all the dot grids are when you can't see them. So what I did was I actually cut out little 3x5 squares, put them where I had planned to put them, and then I stuck a little bit of like double-sided tape on the back of each of them, and I very carefully put the piece of paper on top of the squares, lifted them up, flipped it over, then the squares were there for me to outline in pencil and then cut out with an Exacto knife. Were they perfect? Pfft, no, they were a bit wonky, but they weren't unforgivably wonky. It's not extremely noticeable that there are major fuck-ups, which means it passed the pub test. And the idea behind this one is essentially it's kind of a glowing trail going from January to December, and it's a follow account tracker. At the end of every month, whatever my magic number is, I'll put that number in, and it'll be nice to see at the end of the year how many goblins I've gathered. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I am just a menace. It's a chronic condition I have. There is no cure. The next page over is my other social media trackers. We've got stats. How many followers did I start with? How many did I end with? Top video, the video that just did the best that year. Past a partner. It's just kind of like, if I do hit it, it would be cool. And if not, oh well. I've got like the little heart section, and I'll put a tick in there if I do actually hit YouTube partner. If I do get it, there's also a section for me to put the date I achieved it, and I think it's cool. And I deliberately left the year untouched because I don't have to get partner in 2025. Like, I'm not going to chuck out this notebook when it's done, you know? Like, it's a fancy notebook. I keep it. So like, if I hit partner in 2027, for example, I'll hopefully remember to open this book and fill it in. Then of course I've got a section for favorite memories. This will be like a reflection at the end of the year kind of thing. Crack open the book and be like, oh, what were my favorite YouTube memories? Oh, there was that one really funny comment in the beginning of the year. Like, yeah, stuff like that. And the other social trackers is for my VTuber stuff, because the rest of this is for this channel here, Notebook Dragon. That one tiny little section in the corner is like the footnote of like, oh yeah, I'm a VTuber too. Yeah, track that stuff. Yeah. No, it's just because I've been VTubing for like 3 years. I can start tracking it now, of course, but it just kind of feels like starting in the middle, you know? Like, it doesn't have that same vibe. I could like start tracking it now, but I kind of just keep feeling like I was missing something. So that's why it's kind of like a start and end section, just out of curiosity, but I'm not gonna look too deeply into it. And on to the last spread. The spread that my book keeps automatically opening to, which, while I understand is because I put too much paper there, also spiritually I feel like my book is telling me something. And that's because it's the spend and save tracker. The next couple of videos you see after this one are really gonna highlight why I need this. This is a very in detail way of tracking my spending throughout the year. Hopefully, with the power of shame, I will stop buying stupid shit. I won't. But yeah, on the left-hand side, we have the spending tracker, and on the right-hand side, got the saving tracker. You'll notice there are actually 16 categories of each. I've got the quarters and a year. To be honest, this was one of those pages. I was so focused on the aesthetics, I didn't stop to remember that the year only has 12 months. But luckily, it also has 4 quarters. So I stuck quarter section as well, because I didn't want to lose my ladder. It looks cool. It's like a big cash-filled love heart. And then of course I've got notes, I've got a goal, like a savings goal. I haven't written that in yet. I'm thinking of aiming to save for a bike or a car or something like that. I think that'd be cool. That's a 2025 problem. And yeah, just earn, spend, etc. like that. Yeah, that's the last page. There's a lot of things I can probably say about my first ever BUJO experience, but to really summarize it, I had fun. It was nice. This is my first ever time really giving this kind of thing a crack. I'm not a scrapbooker, I'm not a collager. I've always just been a digital artist. One of my, big sound corny resolutions of the new year is to start drawing traditionally again, properly. This is a gateway into it. It gives me a traditional craft that I literally cannot do digitally. It's cathartic. I enjoy it. I'm definitely planning on doing a January spread and try and keep it up and keep going. And my goal, because, keep them small, is at least to finish this book. I don't know how long this book is going to last me, but yeah, that's my goal of the year. I do hope you enjoyed my little video of my first ever BUJO spread. I hope you liked it. Absolutely feel free to rip off my ideas. It's BUJO, man. Hop off. If any of my ideas inspired you, please use it. Put it in your own BUJO. Do whatever you like with it. In the realm of craft and collage, it's collaborative. If you like this video, feel free to give me a like and subscribe. Give me a little thumbs up, a little subscribe down by clicking that button below. And if you've already subscribed, you're awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys within the next week or so for my next video. Bye bye!